All right, man. Yeah, you caught me drinking. I hit live, then I go take a drink. What kind of jerk am I? I mean, come on. Um, Man, hey, listen, man. Hopefully, I got a good. I'm gonna tell you something. I got a great show. I'm making some changes. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna start doing predictions. I'm gonna start doing predictions. I'm gonna no longer am I just going to say everyth's on Patreon and hey, you want a prediction? I'm just going to give it to you free charge. No more charging for predictions. Long story short, I'm going to make my picks available. I got away from doing that because I did some market research and channels that are more fanboy channels are getting hold on, man. You know what? 1 second. 1 second. Okay. Hey, my mistake. Hey, my mistake. Is the camera really up? There we go. All right, listen. Predictions are back on the show. All right. I'm going to give you any game you want, any prediction that you want. I'll give you everything. And no longer is it just going to be I'm going to give you any prediction that you want. Okay. Bottom line. So if you have a game and you want some help making money, you're going to Vegas or whatever, I'm doing it free of charge. Eventually, I'm going to get to the point where I get big enough that I can say legitimately, hey, give me a small amount of money and I'll give you a prediction. No. Everything's going to be free. Free because I'm not big enough to act like I'm big enough. I don't have a large enough following that I can dictate being able to charge for games. So any game you want, I'll go ahead and give you my honest opinion. Special treat. I got a 3-game parlay and a 5-game special I'm going to give you tonight, and then I'm going to make a short video of it maybe later tonight, possibly tomorrow afternoon. Normally, I don't talk college football in here, but it's 2 really big games, Penn State and Minnesota. I've not watched Minnesota play at all this year, so I'm kind of excited for that. I got that on DVR. And then Alabama, LSU. That's going to be really, really exciting. So I'm pretty excited. I've been watching a little more college football, trying to get a good idea of what's going on for the draft. I haven't done a mock draft yet, but I've looked at several. And I'm trying to get an idea of what the trends are. I'll put a mock draft out after the combine because it really after the combine is really when I'll start doing videos on who I think all 32 teams will take. I'll do a mock draft for all 32 teams. I'm going to do individual videos for every team in the draft. I'll go 1 to 32. I ended up getting a bunch of new followers last year when I did that. So it was pretty cool. I love the NFL draft. So I'm really excited about that. Thursday Night Football, great game. The Raiders started off, if I remember right, they were 0-2 and now they're 5-4. I don't think that they're a playoff team. Okay? I don't because the Bills are going to get a wild card team. A wild card spot unless they fall apart. Because I think that they're going to go undefeated till Thanksgiving. I think they'll be 9-2, and when they go to Dallas, then they have a really tough schedule. They may need to win the last game of the year, which is against the Jets, and I think it's on the road. They may need to win that game in order to get that final spot. But I think the Bills will get one spot, and as of right now, I got the Houston Texans getting the other one. So I don't think the Raiders are a playoff team, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Raiders go 9-7. The Chargers, they have a problem with their offensive line. I heard a lot of comments about Phillip Rivers doesn't have it. I don't know. I agree with that completely. I still see a really good quarterback with some really good tools, but I see a bad offensive line, and their defense isn't great. But there's a lot of talent in that Chargers team, but I think the Chargers are going to be an interesting story going into 2020. Are they going to just blow the team up? Let me ask you this: if there's a Chargers fan who's watching, how would you feel about moving on from Phillip Rivers? You might have to do it. So let's say you move on. What do you expect? Are you going to get a second? A second and then maybe a fifth? Would you get a second and a fourth? Am I crazy by asking that much? He's from. If I remember right, he's really close to Nashville. So let me ask you this: Phillip Rivers on the Titans. How good is that? How good would that be? Now keep in mind, I don't have YouTube up, so don't forget to give me a thumbs up, man. It's one of these. Give me some of those. Give me some love here, and then of course, this is a reason why I started doing live streams is I want this to be interactive, man. If you have a question, you want to touch base on something, any topic is open for talk. I mean, I'm an expert on the NFL, but man, we talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's the whole point of doing an interactive show is that it's best when you ask a question or you have a statement. Hey, Dan, you're crazy. You do not have to agree with me. You don't have to agree with me. I never want this to be about where people just listen to what I have to say and always agree with me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down week 10. I'm going to break down all the games. You get a special treat. I'm giving you a 3-game parlay and a 5-game special completely free of charge. And bonus Chiefs action. I'm waiting until the end, but bonus Chiefs action. And also I got the Westgate app up. Any game we can talk about in any game you want. Let's start off here. Noon games, Detroit at Chicago. I'm a little that concerned about Trubisky. What he say? Hey, they need to shut off all the TVs, and it was a bad look, a real bad look, and I wonder if this is a situation where he's just kind of falling apart. Is this situation where he's kind of cracked under pressure? He's completely regressed. I'm really interested about this game because if he plays poorly, do you go with Chase Daniel for the rest of the year? And then in 2020, I think he's going to be a starting quarterback in 2020. I think they'll work with him. They'll get a running back and maybe another receiver. I don't know if they really need receivers. They got multiple tight ends, but no one who's really a stud. I know they drafted that Shireen kid and they barely use him. I remember he's a high draft pick. The guy's he played at Division II level, real small school, but he was 6'5", 6'6". He played basketball, then ballooned up to 280. But he ran a 4.7, and they haven't found out the way to really use him yet. And he might be one of those guys who's just athletically gifted, but he's not an NFL player. This is an interesting game. I like Detroit to win, but is Chicago going to go winless? Are they that much of a dumpster fire, or is this just a situation where Detroit's a pretty good team still? I thought they should have won last week. They should have beat Green Bay. There's a couple games Detroit's had where they should have won, and they haven't. So this game to me is really, really big. This game, of course, it's a divisional game. I don't think either team's a playoff team right now, but both could get there. Of course, Chicago won 12 games last year. Detroit, I thought could win the division early in the season when I watched them play Kansas City. But right now, I'm looking at both these teams look to me like 500 teams that are going to be on the outside looking in. In the NFC, you got to have 10 games. 10. In order to get into the playoffs this year in the NFC. I don't see either one of these teams getting there. Next game, Baltimore at Cincinnati. Okay, this is ding, 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 ding. One of my 5-game specials. This is the first of 5. Out of all the games, this is my least favorite. But I do like this game. And I'll tell you why. Cincinnati's coming off of a bye. They're starting Finley. They are a 10.5-point dog. I expect them to cover. And the reason why is that they're coming off of a bye. Baltimore played primetime Sunday night. So you get essentially 7 extra days. All right. So you have, because they didn't play Sunday early, they played Sunday late, prime time. That gives Cincinnati a huge advantage. Plus, it's in Cincinnati. And another thing, the reason why I like 10.5 here is Cincinnati's defense has actually played pretty good. If you look the last 5 games, they've held everybody under 30 points. It's just the offenses look bad. And this is a young coach who I think really just him and Dalton, I think that he wanted to have his own guy. And I don't think Finley is really that guy, but they're just going to take a swing and a miss here. I'm going to take a swing. Hopefully it's not a miss. He doesn't have to play great. He's got to cover 10.5. I mean, I don't see Baltimore, after beating New England, going into a game against a winless opponent and just playing at a high level. I don't see it. Home dogs, especially big home dogs, are usually a good thing to bet on. So I like this game. Out of the 5, this would be number 5, like 5 worst. But 10.5 is a good number. I like Cincinnati. This is one of my 3-game parlays, so it's one of my top 3. And whoops, I'm sorry here. All right, never mind. One of my 3-game specials, and I kind of talked about this earlier. It's the Buffalo Bills at Cleveland. I like the Bills. The Bills are 3-point dogs. I'm really surprised about this. I'm going to double check. 3. They're a 3-point dog in this game, and I don't get it. Cleveland, to me, is a talented team, but a dumpster fire. Bills playing pretty good. The thing is about Buffalo is that the defense is good, and they're physical on offense. And that's the thing I think that really bugs me when I watch Cleveland, is they don't seem to be physical on defense. They're a team that can rush the passer. Miles Garrett, phenomenal pass rusher, maybe the best pass rusher in football, believe it or not. Terrible against the run. He looks almost unmotivated to stop the run. And if you're any Browns fans, am I wrong? He doesn't seem to be a good guy against the run. The Bills are going to run the ball. Plain and simple. They got a couple good running backs. They like playing physical football. Josh Allen will probably run the ball, even though I think it's a big mistake. I really like the Bills to cover 3 points. The money line is 135. Let's just keep it safe for this one, and I'll explain here in a minute. Take 3 because this is part of a 3-game parlay. Of course, you want to bet 5. Do that, but take the Bills in 3. Next game, Atlanta at New Orleans. Matt Ryan should play, not guaranteed to play. Saints are like I think like a 57-point favorite. I may be wrong on that. It's a big game. It's a big game. So I'm not 100% sure if I would put action on it. This will be a fun game. Underrated rivalry between the Falcons and the Saints. Underrated. It should be. I think it'll be a fun game, especially if Ryan can play. These two teams just simply don't like each other. They've played in some good games. I don't know if I'd particularly bet on this game because there's too many variables. The reason why I don't love the over is because the Saints defense has played pretty damn good. I don't like either team to cover because the Falcons are bad, but do you really need – I mean, the line's 13.5. So, I mean, that's a big number. So I wouldn't advise betting on this game, but I do like the Saints to win. It's going to be a fun game. Jets and Giants. I think this game's a little more interesting than most because I want to see this defense go after a rookie quarterback and how they handle Saquon Barkley. I think the Jets actually have a pretty good defense. Just the offense is really, really bad. And I'll be interested because I think both these coaches are on the hot seat, and I think both these coaches could be gone. I would have thought Gase if they're semi-competitive, and I'm talking like 4 or 5 wins. But if he leads this team to like 2-3 wins, there's a chance he's gone. And what do you do? What do? You got a franchise quarterback. You have a good defense. You just can't win any games. So I'm really curious what you would do at this point. The Giants, on the other hand, you have Shermer. He goes with the rookie, but you can't win 4 games 1 year with the Giants and then come back and win 4 more games and expect to keep your job. Not for the Giants. Some franchises you can do that, especially if a young quarterback. Not New York. So this game to me is extremely interesting, but I really think that you could be looking at both teams with new head coaches at the end of the year. Arizona and Tampa Bay. This is very, very interesting. A lot of tie-ins here. A lot of Tampa Bay staff used to play and coach in Arizona. Lots of tie-ins there. There's no tie-ins on the Arizona side. I lied. But this to me will be a fun game because I think Arizona's playing a lot better than I thought they would. And then Tampa Bay, a lot of former coaches. I think Winston's playing pretty damn good. I know he's throwing a lot of interceptions, but the offense, believe it or not, under Arians, it's not really all Winston's fault. I like the way he's been playing. So I kind of like what Winston's been doing. Bear with me one moment. All right. All right, here we go. All right, I haven't gotten a comment yet. So I was just double checking. Usually I get a few comments. That's okay. You do not have to comment. Afternoon games. I got Miami at Indianapolis. This actually could be a closer game because you got Brian Hoyer, who's going to be the quarterback. Jacoby Brissett. I don't believe he's going to play, so I think you go with Hoyer. Exercise caution here. It's a home game against a bad team, so it'll be very interesting to see how they do in this one. I do expect the Colts to win, but it could be a lot closer than you think. Next game, ding, 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 ding. This is part of a parlay. Carolina Panthers traveling to Green Bay +5. Part of a 3-game parlay. First game is Buffalo +3. Next one, Carolina at Green Bay. Take Carolina and 5 points. All right, you get 5 points and 2 teams that are pretty even. McCaffrey's been really good against Green Bay. I understand Packers fans think that you got top 10 defense. You don't. Your defense isn't that good, but it's a lot better than it was last year. So this is a good game. I think that Carolina might have the better team. That's why I like them in 5. And one thing about Green Bay, they haven't been able to stop McCaffrey. Plus, they've not been really great against the run. I think Carolina could win this game. Let's not be so bold. You get 5 points, and maybe you get better team. They're about even. Hey, okay, I got my first comment. This is from an old friend of mine, Tim. Tim, it's funny. I said this on my last show, and we just talked about this not too long ago. I think that he goes to Miami. And the reason why is that Miami is going to have several draft picks, and apparently they're in love with Tua. I could see them taking a quarterback and saying, hey, you're going to sit for 1 year, just like the Chiefs did with Mahomes and just like a lot of other people have done. So what you do is you sit your quarterback for a year. Who is the one quarterback that you could bring in for 1 year who can attract enough attention for you? To me, it's Cam Newton. Cam Newton's the only big-name quarterback who's going to be available as a free agent who can take – because Miami may have the first pick in the draft. They may have the second pick in the draft. Let's just say that it doesn't matter where they pick. Let's just say because Tua to Miami has been very popular. Let's say Miami trades up to 1 or 2 or wherever. They got a ton of draft picks, so they can get creative. I got a feeling what Miami wants to do is take their quarterback and say, you're just going to sit for a year. And then I could see Cam Newton being a 1-year rental. I could see him coming in and everybody being clear and everybody saying, hey, look, you play this 1 year, you play good, and there's a chance you can get some big money after the season's up. This happens quite a bit. As a matter of fact, this happened to Andy Reid when with Brandon Albert, the left tackle. He was going to go hit free agency, and he's like, look, come here, play 1 year. We got Eric Fisher, took him first overall. He's on the right side. You don't take a player first overall and put him on the right side. Just play 1 year. Go for a big contract. He ended up going to Miami for like 60-something million. So I think Cam ends up in Miami. That would be my guess, but so many things could happen between now and draft time. There could be a team that looks like a really good team that gets hurt. Their quarterback could get injured, and then they could say, hey, come on in, Cam. I mean, it could be a team like Minnesota. Maybe they want to move on from Cousins, and hey, let's just go with Cam. I don't see that being a fit. I really don't, but I think Cam ends up in Miami because I think what Miami's going to do is draft a quarterback, and I think they're going to sit him for a year. And the reason why I say that is Flores' contract, unlike every other coach, he got a 5-year deal. Everybody else got 4. There we go. 4. He got an extra year, so I think that they're going to be a little more patient in Miami. Now, that said, if the team continues to look god-awful, and they've been looking better, so I think he's going to stay. But let's say he gets fired, then God knows what's going to happen. But Tua to Miami's been something I've seen quite a bit. And I think that if you get a quarterback like Tua, bring him along the right way, have him sit for a year. That's what I see happening. But a lot between now and draft time. But Cincinnati, let's say Cincinnati gets first pick in the draft, and they want a quarterback. Let's say Cincinnati gets the first pick in the draft. They draft Chase Young, the defensive end out of Ohio State, and they just need a new quarterback. They could get Cam. But right now, I think Cam ends up in Miami. I do think he's done in. I do think he's done in Carolina. I've said that quite a bit. So Tim, thanks for tuning in, man. I appreciate it, brother. Third and final game of my parlay. First game is Bills in 3. You get 3 points. I think they win outright, but just take 3 because you're part of a 3 or 5 game parlay. Carolina +5 is the other game. My final game, and this might be my favorite, is Pittsburgh and 4. And they're at home against the Rams. Okay, multiple things I like here. Pittsburgh at home, the home dog. A West Coast team traveling to the East Coast. And I like the way Pittsburgh's been playing. I really like the way Pittsburgh's been playing. And I really like that the way they're playing on both sides of the ball. I think Pittsburgh will end up in the playoffs. I think they're going to win the North. I really do. And I mean, the way I got it, you know what? I have to redo that because I had Houston doing the wild card. So if Pittsburgh wins, is Baltimore out? A lot of crazy things could happen. But I like the way Pittsburgh's been playing. So this is the third game, and this is probably the game I like the most because you have a home dog who I think is going to win outright, and you get 4 points. Now, if you want to get crazy and you want to put money on the money line, you can. But I think this will be a close game. Remember, San Francisco went in, won 23-20. I didn't see that one coming, but that was week 3. So take the 4 points because parlay this. Make some money on this. All right. Sunday night football. I got Minnesota at Dallas. Thielen is going to be out. Minnesota doesn't play good against good teams. Dallas, their offensive line, prime time, everything looks good, but I don't love Dallas in this game. And the reason why is that Van Der Esch may or may not play. A couple of times I watched Dallas. I know that they got some names and some good players, but I don't like the secondary. The defense doesn't look great. The offense looks good at times. Cooper may or may not play. To me, this is a fun game. But I would kind of avoid it. So that's kind of what I'm looking at when I break down these two teams. Is that to me this is a fun game. I wouldn't advise taking action. I don't even feel comfortable playing this one, but if I had to, I'd go with Dallas. I would go with Dallas. Monday Night Football. All right. Seattle at San Francisco. This is the 5th game of my 5-game special. And if you nail the other 4, and well, I mean, if you have to bet this early, here's how I would bet this. All right. Seattle is a 6.5-point dog. I would take the money line at plus 230. Okay. Plus 230 means that for every $100 you wager, you win 230. If you have a 3-game parlay and you win on 3 games in your house money, you almost get 2.5 times. And San Francisco's not going to go 16-0. I know this. You know this. This is a prime game that they lose. 230 is too good of a risk. Okay. When gambling, take your chances. This is where you take your chances. Plus 230. All right. You almost get 2.5 times for divisional opponents where home field's not that big of a deal. Seattle needs this game more than San Francisco. Everything's lining up towards Seattle. This is the 5th game of my money line special. I would use a 5-game special. All right, this would be the 4th one. And the reason why it's 4th is because I like the money line. I actually like the money line, but take 6.5. Take 6.5. But if you're up, if you're in Vegas or you're gambling and you have money to burn and you just want to just hit a home run, take 230. All right, take 230 and make some money. All right. And so anyway, just to recap, 5-game special. Well, let me read it. Okay. 3-game parlay. My game the number 1 game I like Pittsburgh in 4 points. All right. I like Carolina in 5 points. And I like the Bills in 3. I like those 3. I would feel really good putting a 3-game parlay on those 3 teams. The other game I would put a 5-game parlay on, and like I said, this is if I would do this separate. I would if you can do a 5-game, do a 5-game. Take Seattle in 6.5, and then Cincinnati at 10.5, but then do a separate bet and take Seattle to win, take 230, because I really feel good about Seattle winning. That would be how I would do it. Let's say you're going on a $1,000 bankroll. Let's say you're going to Vegas and you have a $1,000 bankroll. I would do 100 on my 3-game. I would do 100 on the 5-game. I would probably do off the top of my head, I'd say I'd put 200 on Pittsburgh to win outright, win the money line. And you know what? A screen went blank here. 200 on money line, which is, should have had this ready. 175. 200 for 175. All right, so it leaves you 600. I would do, if you're up going into Monday night, just put. I'd do half and half. I do half on San Francisco. And then I would do half on Seattle covering 6.5. I do half on them in the money line. You win yourself a lot of money. So I would do 100. I would just put 2 on Pittsburgh because that's my favorite game. If you end up after that, so you're taking 600 plus the winnings, which would be, let's just say it's 1,000. I'd put 500, which is a lot. I know it's a lot. But you're in the green. So I would put 500 on Seattle to cover 6.5, another 500 on the money line, and you're looking at taking 1,000, turning into 3,500. I just like tripled your money, almost quadrupled it because I'm awesome. All right, I'm gonna get a drink here, man. Well, man, I'm amped up. All right. Chiefs at Tennessee. For those of you that don't know, I was going to talk about this. Patrick Mahomes. Oh man, you know what, Tim? I love it because I talked about this in the very beginning. I'm really excited about Penn State and Minnesota. I got the game on DVR. I'm actually going shooting tomorrow, but I got the game on DVR. They'll probably have it there. So I'm really excited about that game. I got this game on DVR. I'm really excited. And the reason why is there could be 12 potential first-round picks, including 1 and 2 in Morrow and Tua going in the draft. Could be 12. And out of these two teams, there could be as many as 12. I've seen Delpit, who's one of my favorite safeties. I don't know the name of the LSU corner, but both corners have been rumored to go in the first round. You could have 12 first-round players in the 2020 draft in this game. Now, I got burnt last year because LSU was a big dog and didn't even come close to covering. So I don't know who I would take in this one. Actually, if I was to bet this game, I would take LSU in 6.5. And the reason why is Tua's not 100%. And these two teams are close. And then there's all these streaks with Alabama winning. And they're not going to win forever. I mean, I think it's 31 straight in Tuscaloosa. I think it's 8 straight against LSU. I would take LSU at 6.5 because Tua is not 100%, and both these teams are really good. Both these teams are going to put up a lot of points. I don't know what the over-under is, but the only problem is I've seen these two teams play some low-scoring games. So I would take LSU at 6.5 because I think that LSU could win. If you want to get really ballsy, you know what, Tim? You know what, man? Let's do this here, man. You wanna let's see here. Oops. All right, Tim, just for you, man. Just for you. Let's see here. I gotta find it. Penn State's 6.5-point favorite. That's kind of interesting. So it's in Minnesota, if I remember right. All right. It's okay. It's taken a while. Okay, here it is. Okay, it's 6, not 6.5. Here's how I would bet this game. And in the future, there's this option here with some banners, and I need to start using it because there's some pictures I should add in here and make it a little more colorful. There's a lot of things I got to change about my channel to get it to grow. But here's what I would do, depending on how risky you are. And this is the odds at 7:32 Central Time. This is subject to change. And then, of course, I use all my numbers come from Westgate Casino. I have the app because I put considerable action. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to show you the exact ticket, but this is the Chiefs over 10.5. Chiefs over 10.5. All right. I'm not saying that I have $1,000 on it, but I have 10 betting units, and the standard betting unit's $100. But I am not saying that that's $1,000 I have on the Chiefs covering 10.5, but the standard betting unit's 100. I have 10 betting units. I had 21 betting units on the Chiefs covering 3 points in that video I sent you. So it was a pretty cool video. I don't know. Hopefully you watched it. But here's how I would bet the game. I would take LSU in the money line plus 185 because it's almost a 2-to-1 money line. It doesn't say, but standard. I wonder if I can get that actually here. Let me see here if I can do that. Let me see here if I okay, you can. Let me see here if I bet 100. Okay, it's standard negative 110. So here's what you can do. Negative 110 means that you have to wager $110 to win 100. You could take LSU in 6. I wouldn't do that. I would take LSU straight. And yeah, it's pretty good. There's about 4,000 things you can like in that video. I would take LSU straight up because plus 185 to me is better than negative 110. 6 points in a game like this, I don't think is that big of a deal because these offenses are really big. Over under 63.5. The problem with 63.5 is that's a big number. And these two guys got a lot of defenders that are going to play in the National Football League. These guys have played in some low-scoring games. I know last year I would have bet almost anything that LSU would have covered last year, and they didn't even. They looked horrible. I mean, it was. I was like watching it. Like I told myself I never would bet on college football again. But I got to watch more college football this year, and I like Morrow. I think he's going to win the Heisman Trophy, and I think that this is going to be a fun game. I would take LSU outright and plus 185, even though I don't love it. To be honest, there's better games to bet, but if I had to bet on this game, I would take LSU plus 185 because one thing about streaks, all streaks come to an end, and Tua's not 100%. All right, you're not getting Alabama at full strength. Alabama would be my favorite to win the national championship, but I think that they'll have a loss. It's just a question of where. Is it the SEC championship game? Is it now? And that'll be interesting. So, but to answer your question, there's better games to bet on. But if it was me, I would take plus 185 because that's almost 2-1. That's almost 2-1. You know, I would like to bet $100 and walk out of the casino with 285. Now, if you want to bet Alabama to win, it's negative 230. That to me is a bad bet. That's a terrible bet. Anyway, that would be my bet. But there's better games. There's better games to bet on in college football. I don't follow college football as close. I was curious because the line hasn't moved in the Ohio State game. Chase Young, who's going to be the first pick. Let me rephrase that. He's going to be a top 5 pick. I think he's the best player in the draft, but there's too many teams that need quarterbacks. So he's going to go top 5, but he's the best player in the draft. And I think he's going to be a monster. I think there's going to be a team that really needs a 4-3 end, and they're going to get Chase Young, and they're going to love this kid. I'd be kind of curious to see where he goes. Because I could see him going somewhere like the Jets if they stick with their current coaching staff and they stick with Greg Williams. I could see him going to New York and just having a huge impact. I personally think it'd be more fun if he went to a team that was willing to kind of go all in and go after defensive end. Kansas City, Chiefs have no chance of drafting Chase Young. I would love to see it, but it won't happen. Chiefs, Tennessee. Mahomes is going to play. And Malcolm Butler's out for the whole year. He was one of the starting corners. They got Logan Ryan and Malcolm Butler from New England. Of course, if you know the whole story, the coach used to play for the Patriots. Why am I drawing? Some days my memory's better than others, and I'm just drawing a complete Vrabel. I'm sorry. Vrabel played for New England. Of course, he was traded to Kansas City. Didn't want to be in Kansas City, but he played really well for a year or two. He retired to go into his coaching career, which ended up being really good because almost immediately they were talking about him being a head coach when he was just a position coach, coaching outside linebackers for the Houston Texans. And then he ended up being defensive coordinator for a year. Romeo Crennel stepped down just to become an assistant. And a lot of this was to do with, I think that Romeo Crennel wanted to help one of his former players and coaches get a job as an NFL head coach. And that's smart because you never know what's going to happen in the NFL. So it's always good to have somebody you worked for get a head coaching job because you may need a job someday. And if you're a good head coach, you want to see your guys. Look at Andy Reid. Now, Andy Reid will never go back to being a position coach, but I mean, he's got several guys that he's coached over the years that have taken head coaching jobs. John Harbaugh in Baltimore, of course, Matt Nagy in Chicago, and Doug Peterson in Philly. All those guys were former assistants under Andy Reid. There's probably more. Oh yeah, Sean McDermott coached I don't think he was a coordinator under Andy Reid. I think he was like a linebackers coach, but the Andy Reid coaching tree is big. So you always want to see your assistants, go elsewhere. So that might have been the reason why Romeo Crennel wanted to step down for a season and just be like a special coordinator. I don't know the whole story, but Vrabel got some New England players to go to Tennessee, and Malcolm Butler, he's out for the year. And that's a bad sign because you got Patrick Mahomes coming back with a fully healthy Tyreek Hill. You have Sammy Watkins who's healthy, and you may possibly have Eric Fisher coming back. He was only supposed to be out for a couple weeks. It's been like 6 weeks. So the Chiefs are coming back healthy. I don't know the situation about Frank Clark yet, and I think Kyle Fuller is going to be healthy, but the Chiefs are coming back at almost full 100% health, and that's scary because this Chiefs team at 100% is as good as anybody in the National Football League, and I'm including New England, but a lot of it has to do with health. Now, if Eric Fisher comes back and he plays at a Pro Bowl level, Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins are back 100% healthy. Travis Kelce has been the model of health, even though I've seen him get beat up a lot. And somebody mentioned that they felt that towards the end of the year, he doesn't play as well. I don't see that personally, but I've heard that before. So this Chiefs team is a Super Bowl caliber team. They're 6-3 with getting back at full strength health-wise. Even if they lose to New England, which I'm not sure that they will, but even if they do, at 12-4, as a wild card or as a team with a first round bye, they are extremely dangerous, probably the most dangerous team in the playoffs because you don't know what Mahomes can do. All right. It's still kind of an unknown at how great he can be. Even though he won an MVP last year, I thought he was actually playing better in the very beginning of the year than he was last year. And keep in mind, last year, Watkins was out. He had a great game against New England. He had over 100 yards in that AFC Championship game. But can you imagine how good this offense could be with Tyreek Hill and Watkins healthy, and Kelce and McCoy? And I know a lot of people aren't really thrilled about McCoy, but I'm trying to turn this into a Chiefs video. But I broke down every game, and I kind of want to break down this Chiefs game last. How to bet this Chiefs game. I love the over. I don't have this as part of my 5-game special because when you have a bunch of guys coming back from injury, how is Mahomes going to look? Is he going to be one of those guys that he doesn't come back 100%? Does he not trust his knee? Unfortunately, one thing about Mahomes, and hopefully this turns out to be false, but he's not one of these guys who's going to be able to play like several years and never miss a game. He's not going to be like Phillip Rivers or drawing a blank here, Matthew Stafford. You could say Flacco because I don't think he got benched because of his neck. I think he got benched. It's funny he was put on IR right after he made some bad comments about the coaches there. But is he going to be a guy who's going to have injury issues throughout his career? Keep in mind, Rodgers has missed several games at times due to injuries. Cam Newton's missing a ton of time. I don't know if you want to compare him to Cam Newton, but bottom line, this isn't a guy who you can count on week in and week out, like you can with Phillip Rivers or for like Eli Manning. So, so there's some issues there. So when I say that, and I guess my point is that is he going to be able to recover? All right, that's it. I looked something up real fast. All right, he's not going to be able to recover. So that's why I don't like betting the game. But with a corner out and everybody getting back healthy, if I was going to put action on the Chiefs game, I would forget the over-under and just take 49.5. That would be the smart play because even with more, they can put up some points. I think Tennessee's offense with Tannehill's actually played pretty well. A lot of people, I know the Chiefs defense has been playing better, but I like over 49.5. That's the play that I would make, but I would not put action on this game. I gave you 5 really good games. a 3-game parlay and a 5-game special. And I would take all those games, but let's just say you're dying to bet on the Chiefs. Take out 49.5. So that's what I would do. All right. So listen, I'm going to cut this short a little tonight. Let's just cut it short. Listen, it's going to be a great week in the NFL. I'm back to doing picks. I'm going to do picks on my live stream. I'm going to make a short video either later tonight or tomorrow, and I'm going to go over these 5 picks again. I'm going to start making them public. My Patreon's still going to be up, and unfortunately, you have to charge people to have the Patreon. So I put everything as $1, but if you send me a video, if you send me a message, I'll send you an email with all the picks, and go from there. Send me an email. You don't have to pay me. I'm going to do this free of charge. AskAndrewsFootball@yahoo.com. So listen, if you're a subscriber to Andrews Football, you already know you're one of the greatest people on planet Earth. All your wildest dreams are going to come true. But if you're new to my channel and you haven't done it yet, there's this button right here. See it. Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. I'll see you Tuesday. Whew.